Let's now talk about solving percent problems by setting them up as proportionate ratios. We'll have two ratios that we'll be working with. The first is the amount and the base, and the second will be the percent over 100. Let me give you a couple of examples. What number is 25% of 500? There are a few key things that we want to focus on when we're solving these problems or when we're setting them up. The word of and is are going to have special meaning in where we place the numbers. Also, when we have a percent, that's going to go over 100. So this second ratio is fairly easy to set up because we have the percent. It's just going to be 25 over 100. Now, is going to refer to the amount, and of is going to refer to as the base. Since we have of 500, that basically means out of 500. Our bottom term is going to be 500. And what we need to find out is the amount that represents 25% of 500. Now we can solve this by cross-multiplying and dividing. That means I'm going to multiply 100 times n and 500 times 25. Now, 5 times 25 is 125, so that's going to give me 12,500 equals 100n. Now I'm going to divide by 100 on both sides, and these will cancel. 100 goes into 12,500 125 times. Another way to do this is because I have a 0 on top and a 0 on bottom, I can cancel those, and so I'm left with 125. So if I look back, 125 over 500 is going to represent 25%. And if I were to reduce this to lowest terms, say 25 goes into this one 5 times, 25 goes into this 20 times, and then 5 goes into 24 times, I'm going to get 1/4. And that we already know equals or is equivalent to 25%. Let's look at another problem. In this one, we have what number is 10% of 9? So we've got the percent, that's going to be 10 over 100. And if I look at is and of is going to refer to the base, So of 9 is the base. We don't know what the number is, so that's our part or our amount that we're looking for. Again, we're going to cross multiply. 100 times n equals 90. Divide by 100. N equals 9/10. If I create a decimal point, this becomes 0.9 or 0.9. Okay, let's look at a problem in which we're solving for a different part of the proportions. Okay, let's say that 9 is 30% of what number? Again, we have the percent, so I'm just going to write 30 over 100. Now 9 is 30% of what number? Notice the of, we don't know. We don't know what that base number is. But 9 is the amount that we have. Now we're going to cross multiply. So 9 times 100 is 900. N times 30 is 30n. I'm going to divide by 30. These cancel, and I could reduce this. 90 over 3. 3 goes into 90 30 times, and so my answer becomes 30. So if I write 9 over 30, that is going to represent 30%. If I divide 9 by 30, I should get 0.3 or 0.30. Okay, let's do another one like that. Let's say we have 5 is 200% of what number? Again, I have the percent. I'm just going to write that as a fraction or a ratio. I don't know the of what. That's the base. The 5 is the amount that I do know. Now I'm going to cross multiply. So 5 times 100 is 500 equals 200 times n, or 200n. Now I'm going to divide by 200. These cancel. N is left by itself. And I can reduce these just to make my dividing a little bit easier. 5 divided by 2. 2 goes into 5 2 whole times with 1/2 left over. So 2.5 or 2.5 is going to equal n. Okay, let's look at the last type of problem where we're solving for the percent using proportionate ratios. So we're asking what percent of 100 is 82. Oops, not percent, is just plain old 82. Okay, this one might be kind of easy if you can think it through. 100% would be 82. So, or 82 out of 100 would give us, 82%, not 100%, I'm sorry. Okay, so we have our amount over the base equals percent over 100. Now, I don't know the percent, so I'm going to put n over 100. Okay, now here are those words again, of and is. So of 100, that's going to be the base. Is going to be the amount or the part. Okay, now we're going to cross multiply. So 82 times 100 is 8,200. 100 times n is 100 n. I'm going to divide by 100 both sides. These will cancel. And I could reduce a little bit before I divide, and I get 82 over 1, which is 82. So 82%. Now notice in these examples, we are not having to multiply 82 by 100 to make it a percent. Because when it's written as a ratio in which the denominator is 100, so 82% is the same thing as 82 over 100. Now, when we come up with, when we're translating and creating equations, then when we're looking for percents, we do need to convert that decimal to a percent. But because this is already written as a fraction or a ratio, we don't need to do that. Let's do another one like that, where we're looking for the percent. And in this one, we're going to say what percent of 27 is 9. Again, I don't know the percent, so n over 100. Of is going to refer to the base, so that's 27. Is going to refer to the amount. Okay, now we're going to cross multiply. 9 times 100 is 927n. Okay, I'm going to divide both sides by 27. And I'm going to get, and I'm not sure what this is, so I need to do the division. 900 divided by 27. 27 will go into 90 at least 3 times, because 30 will go into 90 3 times. So 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8, so 81. And so we get 9 left over. I'm going to bring down another 0, and looks like we're going to continue to get 3s. And so I would write 81. Now, with these types of problems, you want to take note if there's a direction to round the percent to a certain decimal point. And so I've just stopped here since I didn't specify. Now, what would be the right answer? You're probably wondering. Well, if it doesn't say, you could put n equals 33%, or you could put 33.3 with a line over it, percent. Okay, these would be acceptable answers. If the question is asking you to round to the nearest 10th percent, then you would want to go out, an additional amount, which would be another, you'd be working it some more. Because this number would tell you if you would bump this 3 to a 4 or keep it as a 3. In this case, it would be a 3. So these are just some things to look out for when you are working these problems.